Hello and
All
welcome
right.
to, oh, sorry, I was going to introduce
Oh,
you.
sorry. I'm
We're
sorry.
gonna
All
edit.
right, restart.
Okay, I'm going to give a few seconds. All right. Hello and welcome to Women Who Code San Francisco's Algorithm and Interviewing Prep workshop. Tonight's speaker is Krys Flores, and she will be talking about merge intervals. Thank you so much, Krys.
Thanks, Elaine. So merge intervals, they're not a sexy topic. What have I done here? I've done recursion, which is a very sexy topic. I've done trees, which a lot of people want to know. But merge intervals are the question that I've seen most frequently asked in my last interviewing round. And I think they're really, really important if you haven't seen them before. They're not hard once you get how they work. And so I'm hoping that this session today will be a good primer for you. So if you get an interview with anything relating to a merge interval, you will be able to talk through it and then get to a solution in the end. Alrighty, so if you go into the chat, the first thing is a merge Google drawing. That's what you see here. I sometimes think it's just easier to be able to look at something and play around with it. So feel free to make a copy of this. And as you work through, the majority of the merge interval problems I've seen don't go very high. So I only have to 30 here, but if you need more, obviously find a longer ruler. You can work it out this way. I will note merge intervals a lot of times have to do with numbers. They also sometimes will have to do with, I saw a really cool merge interval one that was basically replacing bold text in a paragraph of text, and it was fantastic. Merge intervals are actually something that, for those of you who are bootcamp or may not have any practical experience yet, merge intervals you will actually learn on the job. And I can't say that about a lot of the other like data structures and algorithms that are out there, but this is definitely used. So I hope this will be useful. So the first problem we are going to do today will be the first problem listed in problem 1. So I'll give you all a moment to read that. I think you can see all of it for now. Okay, so note, both the problems I'm doing tonight are medium, but I feel like they're different levels of medium. This is your basic merge interval problem. This, if you can do this, you can add on top of it and solve the other kinds of merge interval problems. So that's why I want to start with this one. So we have a few intervals here. Let's go to our handy dandy. There we go. So we can see our intervals. So let's make that a little bigger. Let's bold them. All right, so we have intervals. Now, you can see I've already put some of these intervals down. Now, let's go back to the question. What is it asking us? All right, so I want to be able to overlap and just return all of the, okay, so this one wants me to combine anything that overlaps. So when you are looking at the intervals problem, look for what it's asking for. Is it asking you to merge things? Is it asking you to tell where there are spaces without anybody or without anything? This one is definitely asking us to merge and then give us a list of all of the times once you've merged times that overlap. So you will see in this first box right here, this is 1 to 3. You will see in this box down here, this is 2 to 6. You will see here, this is 8 and 10, and then this is 15 and 18. Just to make it very, very easy and visible from the get-go for you to see how this works, I wanted to put them on a few different lines. And so for the first one, do these two overlap? Yes, they do. So what would be an easy way to figure out how they overlap and what I should have on my final one? Just draw something like this. draw something like that. It's going to have the full overlap. And then I can move that down. Where did it start? It starts at 1 and it ends at 6. All right, and let's just make that a little darker so you can see it better. Cool. All right, so that's my first one. Now this one I'm going to want to bring down. It doesn't overlap with anything else, so I'm just going to bring it down. And let us update that. And then let's bring this one down. And let's update that. So your final answer is going to be what you see at the bottom, and I'll bring it over so that you can see it more easily. Let's do. Cool, so this is just the basic concept. So right now I'm using 2 rulers just to space it out so I could see all of my intervals. And then I kind of use the 2 rulers to see if anything overlaps and bring that down to my 3rd ruler so I can figure out, all right, what am I actually going to be returning? And so we'll do this also for the next one, but anytime you want to play with intervals and you're not sure how to do it, I highly recommend using like a little worksheet like this. With coding, a lot of it is actually writing stuff out, doing diagrams, and just really grokking the concept of the problem before you even start writing the code. Alrighty. So often when you have merge intervals, you are going to want to understand the length. So let me move a few things around so that I can make sure you have as much information available on your screen as you need. Let's see. Let's go. Made that smaller. Let's see what else can I make bigger. I'm moving the chat around to make sure I can still see it while I'm talking with you all. Okay, chat can go there. Righty. Awesome. All right, so merge intervals. I'm going to give you a way to kind of approach them. So you're always going to want to start out with, what is my length? You will also almost always want to create a new array. It's an array if you're non-Python, it's a list if you're in Python. We're in Python right now, so I'm gonna write both names. And then you're going to have to set a start and an end. Then you're gonna do some kind of iteration. And within this iteration, you're going to push to the new array. And then at the end, you're going to return new array. Did I leave that? Oh, yes, I will leave this out because it makes everything easier. Sort your intervals. Okay, so this is the basic process for when you get an interval type question. You're probably going to want to know, what is your length? You are also going to want to know, you're also going to want to create a new list. You're going to want to sort your intervals. This will add to the time complexity, but normally when you're being judged on this, as long as you can tell them, okay, sorting takes X amount of time, but the rest of what I wrote is, what is it, n.log n or whatever, they'll be fine with that. So usually they will let you use a sorting function. Usually you will not have to write this. So yay. And then you need to have a start and an end. You're going to iterate within the iteration. You're going to figure out logic. Okay, figure out logic. And then when you get to specific logic, you are going to push to the new array. And then at the end, you will return it. So let's start with super easy. How do I find out the length? So let's look at length of array equals length of intervals. Ooh, I can spell. Awesome. So we just did the first one. That was super easy. Now, I know I need to find merged intervals, so I'm just going to call my new array that. Now, Python makes it super easy to sort. You could sort in you could sort like this. So we could do something like this, and it will sort in place. But for purposes of you seeing every step in the process, I'm going to use this way of sorting so that we have an entirely new variable, and so that you can just very easily see. Again, if you're trying to save space, you would probably just use the .sort method, and it would do it. Let me write that for saving space. .sort method, and it would do it within the current array. But again, because I want you to very clearly see where everything is, I'm going to write it this way. Now start and end. So what does our sorted intervals look like? Let's look at that. Right now, our sorted intervals look something like this. And now, before I start iterating through it, I need to set my first values. And now my first interval is this right here. So I am going to get access to the first interval. So let's say sorted intervals. And again, I'm being a little wordier than normal with the code because I want to make sure you can clearly see everything I'm doing and why. So my first interval is here, and I need to be able to get the start and the end. So this is how I would get the start and the end for the first interval. Oh, no, I have to do it like this. Alrighty. Another way that you could actually do this, so I'll leave this here, and you could have actually done start end equals, and that would give you straight what you want. But I wanted to, again, put this up here first so you can kind of see where I'm going. Now that you have this, we know what our start and what our end is. So our start right now is 1. And our end right now is 3. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break. Does that make sense? Are we good so far?
Hey, Krys, I have a question. So in Python, when you say sorted of intervals, does it sort it by the start or end? Because I think like in Java, we need to have like a comparable, like you need to implement it, right?
Let me bring it up and I'll show you. Let me screen share a new screen. Let's go here. And well, I'll show you the difference between the two. So can you guys see my terminal now?
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, this is sorted. So already sorted. Cool, thank you, Heidi. I will go back to that question as soon as I show this. So already sorted, right? That's boring. So let's do sort 1, and let's make this one just a little more fun so you can see it. And what was it? It was 2, 6. Cool. Alrighty, and then let's do, actually that should be fine for our purpose. No, I'm gonna do one more sort 2 just so I can show you the differences. All right, so we're gonna sort 1, that's sort. And then sort 1 will be sorted for us. And so for this specific one, you don't need something to compare it. I do want you to know how, because we're doing .sort, it is sorting it in the original array. What I have is new sort. And then I did this, sorted, sort 2. Is that what I did, sorted? Let me check. Yes. And then new, then you could see sort 2, the same, but new sort is different.
Yeah, that's fine. So basically it is by default sorting it by the first, like by the start, seems like.
Correct, yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes, this Python is doing it that way.
Okay, cool, thank you.
All right, let me go back to the other screen. Awesome. All right. And then Heidi, cool. I'm glad you got that confirmed. I'm going to say it out loud for those who are watching this in the future. Heidi asked, I understand why start is 1, but can you explain why end is 3? And Elaine responded, those are the saving the start and end of the first interval, which is correct. Now for the next one, we're going to start our iteration. Now, you will get to the point where you need to have a little more complicated iteration. But for this one, this is a pretty simple one. Now, I am going to have a regular for loop. So for I in range, and then we're going to leave that one blank real quick. In the length of the array, I am going to do things. Now, here's a very, very important part of the merge interval. When you start, you already have a start and an end here. You already went over 0 index. So when you are starting in your loop, you want to start at 1 so that you don't go over that interval again. Now I'm going to repeat that. When you are going to start your loop and go through the rest of the intervals, make sure that you are accounting for the fact that you already set a start and an end. And this will look different based on the problem, but for this very simple one, I already got my 0 index taken care of, so I'm going to start at my 1 index. Okay. Another big thing about merge intervals is that you're always going to have a counter of like current and things. So right now we have a start and an end, but we also need to find our current, oh, sorry, that's my dog, current values. Okay, pardon me, let me lock him out of the room, apologies. Okay. Sorry about that. I have 2 dogs and they decided that they wanted to puppy like mutilate each other right now. So, all right, back to current values. So current values. Okay, let me actually kick them out of the room, sorry. Yes. Sorry about that again. End is not yet defined. Alrighty then. Missing sorted intervals we want. Okay, and right over the end of the sign. Oh, thank you, Elaine. All right, so it's Python will unpack the element array. Actually, what I wrote in line 15 might even be wrong. But yes, that is how Python will work on line 16. So, all right, we need to figure out our current values. So how do we set our current values? Current start, current end, and then wherever we are in the sorted intervals at I. Awesome, thank you, Michelle. She said line 15 is correct as well. Alrighty, so cool. All right, so now we have a start, an end, a current start, and a current end. So now we need to be able to compare them. So this is our specific logic where we are going to compare what do we do. All right, so the first thing I'm going to compare, if current start is less than or equal to end. All right, and then do something, and then else. But so you can just see this, current start is greater than end. Okay, so we're gonna have to do something for both of these. We only have 2 options. Either our current start is gonna be less than the end or equal to it, or it's going to be greater than the end. And this, so you know, sometimes where the equals goes can be problematic. But we'll work that out in the next problem and you can see that more easily there. So, okay, I need to think about, so if my current start is less than my end, that's pretty awesome. Why is that awesome? I don't need to update start here. Rather, I need to update the end. So then I need to think about it. Okay, which end is more? Is it my current end, or is it my end that I've started with? And here's where you're going to start to see the beauty of it. So let's go back to line 22. And so current start here is 2. And current end here is 6. Now we're going to look at this here. Is current start less than or equal to, where's our end? 3. So right here, we figure out 2 is less than or equal to 3. Cool. So then we're going to go here, and we're going to look at max of what's our current end. Our current end is 6. And our regular end is 3. Which one's bigger? 6. So in the end, it's going to be 6. And that is, let's go back to the Google drawing. That is how we get this block down here. Oh, okay, so we started here, but we kept going. There was still merge, and so we went all the way to the end. Does that make sense so far for that first one? Okay, so we are going to now exit the loop and go to the next one. So now we are at current start equals 8, current end equals 10. That was our previous one. Just so you know, we're also going to, let's see, I'll write out the starts as well. So here we started like this, and now we are at start is 1, end is 6. Now notice we have not added anything to merge intervals yet. We're just going through our intervals. We're going through our sorted intervals. So our next one is, let's see, so our current end is 6. And our current start is 8. So as you can tell, this is definitely wrong. So go to else statement. So yes, 8 is greater than 6. So go to your else statement. All right, I'm in my else statement. What do I need to do? What can I do here? Am I at a point where, have I found an interval? I think I found an interval because my last start and end does not overlap with my current start. So I think I need to push to the new array. So once you have found a completed interval, you need to make sure to push to the array. So we're going to go merged intervals dot append. And then here's where it's important. Make sure you put it like this so that it stays an array like that. So awesome. We have completely figured out our first push to merged intervals. Now we have to reset everything. So I've already used start, so reset start. I've already used end, so I have to reset end. And that's actually pretty easy. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see the whole thing. There we go. So start is just going to now be set to whatever current start was. And end is going to be set to whatever current end is. So awesome, we did well there. We are now going to go to the next iteration of the loop. So we're here at line 20 again. Let's see where we're at. So we said that we were updating starts. So the new one here was going to be 8. The new end was going to be 10. Cool. Let's see. And then so that would make it out here. Start would be 8, 10. And let's see what our new current start and end are. So I am on line 23. And I'm figuring out, all right, our new current start, let's see, what's the last thing on line 12? It's 15. So that's our new current start. And our new current end, let's see, that's 18. Cool, awesome. All right, now that we have that, let's look at which logic path we're going to follow. So current start and end. So we'll go to else statements. So here again, 15 is greater than 10. So we're going to go next. We are going to append. And so I have this, 1, 6, that's what we appended previously. And then we are now appending what is our current start and end. So now 810 will be part of that. And then we're going to update our current start and our current end. That will be start. Now, you will notice we have gone the entire length of our array here, but we still have a start and we still have an end. So sometimes this needs to happen outside the loop, but still need to add the last interval. So how would we do that? Merge intervals, append, start, end. And this right here would append 15, 18. So that when you return, you will see this. So let me try to make it bigger so you can see all of it at once. Let me do it this way maybe. Okay, I think that's yes. Oh no, hold on 1 second. Let me just sign in real quick. Cool, all right, run code. Oh, did I misspell something? Merged intervals. Merged intervals, cool. Okay, so you can see this is working so far. Let me just run it to make sure it's a successful submission. And then we can move on to questions for this. List index out of range. Oh, I forgot something. Sometimes your length will be 0, it will be an empty list. So account for the empty list. If length array equals 0, return this. So let's try that. Cool, all right, so that worked pretty well. Let me move things around so that hopefully you can see the whole thing and ask me questions. So let's see, put that down. How do I'm trying to make it bigger on my computer. Maybe if I zoom a bit. There you go. Okay, any questions about this one? Oh, I lost the chat. 1 second, trying to find it again. There we go. As you are explaining your code, you should also be stating your time complexities. Yes, Adriana. You can do it at the end, at the beginning. I forgot what this runs in. I'm really bad with like big O notation. So anybody, let me see, what is this one? Because I'm looping once. So with the exception of, yes, I think that times the original number. And then again, we're not looking at my sorting on line 13. We're kind of just looking at what else I have. I think it's n times n log n. And then if you add that again, yeah, okay, cool. Any other questions on this problem?
Sorry, why is it, if we're ignoring the sorting, this is on the time complexity. If we're ignoring the sorting and we're only iterating through of the elements once. Where does the login come in?
Let me see. Where did the login come in? Because we're not doing all of the elements in the loop, we have less than that because we're starting out 1. Does that make sense there? How I'm not even going through the entire list.
I think I have to think about it a little bit more, but thanks.
Okay. And Michelle, yes, this is a type of like 2-pointer you can use. So yes, definitely. This is using pointer methods. Yes, this is the quintessential merge sort. You see this merge intervals right here, Adriana? This is the quintessential basic problem. You will never get this problem. You will always get one that is more difficult. But in order to get those ones, you have to start with this one. Ishwarya, you said, why the last append statement? Because we exited the loop and we still had an interval, we need to make sure that we append it to the end of merge intervals. If we don't append it, right here on line 44, it would just be this, and that would not be the full list.
Thanks, yeah, got it.
Oh, thank you, Elaine. Okay, I did not understand. Okay. Merge sort algorithm, merge interval. Yes, it is different from that. Sorry, it is not merge sort and the merge intervals. Those are different. Let's see. Alrighty. Any other questions on this one so far?
Krys, I think without the sorting, it is in O of N. Even
oh,
though
awesome. Okay.
First, yeah, I mean, but if you do count the sorting, then it's just n log n just because of the sorting. Just the sorting takes n log n, I believe.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out.
I'm like, oh my God, YouTube's gonna downvote this. No, they're not. At least they can downvote it because of me. Okay, done.
Okay, I'm trying to post this in I'm posting this in the SF Algos channel. Why are you not open? How do I do this? Create a coder text snippet. This one is merge intervals. All right, so if you are not part of the SF Algos channel already, please message Elaine. Okay, so let's look at some of these questions. Jessica, tips, take them one at a time. Go figure out what are the problems and tackle them one at a time. Let me go to my GitHub real quick and I'll put it in the chat section. Where are we? Data structure info, problem types. So there's several different kind of problem types. I think I have a good number of them on here. And so just go through a problem types list. And to comment off what Elaine is saying, it does take a lot of practice. And you would not necessarily know this off the cuff. Even if you have a computer science degree, like these are things you need to study for. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, let me see what you're saying. Jupyter instead of leap to do debugging. Input as a parameter for the first time. Vinya, let's connect in the Slack after to discuss debugging. Vinya wants to know about using Jupyter instead of LeetCode to do debugging, and that's a little more complicated for them what we're doing right now. But if you ping me in the Slack channel, Vinya, I can totally help with that. Some example questions, wording that would require merge intervals. Awesome. So there's one where, let me see if I can find it. Merge intervals, updates, bold. I think it's something like that. merge over. Okay, so here's some examples. We've done this one. We're about to do this one next, but one of the ones I feel like gets asked a lot. Oh yes, meeting room problems. That is a great one, Ankita. Meeting room problems you will get. Education. Let me see, 1 second. Subscriptions. 1 second, let me go back. I'm trying to find, oh, interview scheduling. That's another one. Meeting room problems, interview scheduling. Let me see. Merge interval problem. So you can literally type this into Google and find a bunch of them. And also find other explanations. Okay, let me see. How common is to encounter bit manipulation questions? It's not very common to encounter bit manipulation questions unless you're doing like FANG. I personally would not want to work for a company that's going to ask that in an interview. Intervals. Okay, I think that is, oh, edge cases. Adriana. Alrighty, come up with them quickly. Honestly, Adriana, it's practice. It's practice and practice and practice. I'm looking at the one that Michelle sent. I have to interview 2N people. Cost. I believe that this merge intervals can be used here. So I feel like there are probably multiple ways to solve this. So that's regarding what we have open right here, right now. 2-city scheduling. Okay, regarding edge cases. So with edge cases, inputs, what if null, what if invalid? Ariana, that looks like a great way to work with edge cases. I highly, highly recommend that. So Adriana, if you look in the chat, Ariana put some great things, just how you start to beginning with the edge cases. I highly, highly, highly recommend watching the Women Who Code session where the 2 mentors basically do an interview, because I think it's a really great way to see how people approach the edge cases. Interviewing.io also lets you watch a bunch of interviews for free. They're usually with FANG companies. So I highly recommend going there and watching those just so you can familiarize yourself with what it is going to look like. Any other questions on this one before we move to the next problem?
So it's just for the benefit of the recording, Ariana commented regarding edge cases, I start with the inputs. What if it's null? What if invalid? Some good things to start with.
Alrighty, let's move on to the next one. So this one is not as simple. So let me make sure you can see the whole problem. Okay. Okay, so this one is similar to the other one, but you have 2 separate arrays. So that's the difference here. You have 2 separate arrays. So let's go. Let's see. The first one is 0 and 2. We have 0 and 2. And then let's see. And then we have 5 and 10. And then we have 13 to 23. And then we have, what is this last one? 20, oh, that's a small one. 24 and 25. All right, so this is, right now I have our first interval set. I'm going to type it here so it's easy for everyone just to see where we're at. So we are on A. Bigger. All right, now we are going to do B. Alrighty, so let's do B. B is 1 to 5, 8 to 2, 6, 7, 12, 15 to 24. Oh, oops. 24. 25. And 26. Again, this is just super helpful if you're trying to visualize where everything is. And then this should be, actually, before I put what the output is, we'll draw it down here. Okay, so we want to figure out the intersection of these two. So where do they meet? So here, do they meet? They meet here. Cool. Let's meet there, and then let's look at the next one. Da, 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 da. They meet here. That is here. And then next one, let's see. They meet. Oh, this is a long one. Awesome. Okay. And then do they overlap here? This is that one. No, that does not look like an overlap. Alrighty. So I think I just have the overlaps in right now. Let's see. Oh, wait, hold on. I misread it. This is the intersection of them. So whoopsie-daisy. Let me redo that. Okay, so we have 1 and 2. Apparently we have 5 and 5. I missed that one there. Sometimes it's hard to see things, so this is gonna look really funny. All right, that's 5. We have 8 to 10. Cool, we have 15 to 23. Did that one? I couldn't see it, or apparently I'm blind. So then we're gonna add these ones. This one is 24 and 25. Okay. So yeah, make sure you can see your numbers on your ruler better than I have been able to. Any questions so far on how we got this? Does this make sense based off the question to you? Do you see how we are getting our answer with the way, with using the 3 rulers? Okay. I'm now going to move into here so we can start looking at the question together. In chat, Ariana asked, with the inputs, think of all the ways you could break it. When you have strings instead of intervals. Strings is actually my favorite way to do this merge interval problem. And so at the end of this, if we have time, I will go and try to find a problem that uses strings. And so if we have time, I will go do that. If we don't have time, Ariana, I can find it and put it in the SF Algos chat afterwards, just for you to do whenever. All right, let's get started. So you can see it a little better. All right, so we have 2 lists now. So we need to find the length of 2 lists. So we're gonna find length list A, length list B. And what do we do next? We need to be able to figure out overlaps. So that's gonna be new array, overlaps. And then we're going to have to somehow set the start and end, just the beginning. And then we're going to have to do iterations. And then we're going to need to return the overlap. Now, this one is going to be a bit different. We are going to use a while loop for this one. So I'm just gonna put that out there so you can look at it and we can discuss later why we're using a while loop. So first thing, super easy. Length of list A equals length list A. Sweet, we did that one, that was easy. Length of list B equals length list B. Sweet. Did they say it was already sorted for us? Okay, so note this, that they are already sorted for us, so we do not have to sort it. Awesome, that just makes it easier for us. Make sure that's a question you might ask if you're getting an interview. Oh, is the list already sorted for me? And if it's not, do the easy sort thing. If it is, be grateful. That's awesome. Okay, and as, actually, we're gonna do overlaps first. So overlaps is gonna be our new array with like the stuff together. Now we need to set a start and an end. So here is how we are going to do this. This one's gonna be different, but we're still gonna use pointers. This may take a little explanation, so let me write it out. Let me go into the loop a little bit, and then I will explain once I'm a little bit in the loop how they relate to each other. So this is going to be index of A, and we're always starting at 0. Then we need index of B, and we are always starting at 0. Now this one is a little complicated. So these are my pointers up here. So this is my pointer 1. This is my pointer 2. So we want to make sure that pointer 1 is always less than the length of A. And we want to make sure that pointer 2 is always less than the length of B. And because you have to be able to keep track of both of these pointers at the same time, you're not going to use a for loop, you're going to use a while loop. And this is what it would look like. While index of A is less than the length of list A, and that's a big word right there, and, because you need both of them at the same time. Index of B is less than length of B, length list B. Okay, so this is how you say my pointer, my first pointer always has to be less than the length of A. And my pointer 2 always has to be less than the length of B. That's how you say it in the while loop right there. Now this is going to be a little different because last time we had just one start and one end, and then we had a current start and current end. For every loop, we are going to have to make sure to set the start and the end for both list A and list B. So let's do that. I'm gonna have start A and B, and A, start B and B. Now, how do I find that? I am going to use the list. It's already sorted, and I'm going to use whatever index I'm on. Index of A. Cool. For this one, I'm going to use B. Index of B. Okay. Is it making sense so far why we are starting like this? Why I need my pointers to be a point in the index, and why I need to set start A and start B and B. Okay, I'm not seeing anything in chat or hearing anything, so I will continue. Okay, so now we need to figure out what we are unpacking again. Yes, Michelle, correct. We are unpacking again. So this will look like, just so we have all of them out, let's make sure I forgot to do this. So let's do, where can I put it? So list A. A looks like this. On line 3, you'll see A. On B, I'm also writing line 4 will be B, and then we can unpack together. So we are going to get the list of length A, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Length of list B, that is 4. Cool. Overlaps with there. We're unpacking on line 22. So on line 22, start A will be 0, end A will be 2, and then start B will be 1, end will be 5. Okay, so current values. You will always have to get the current values, but because you have 2 separate interval lists, you first need to figure out their start and end. And here's where you're going to do a little magic. You're going to compare things. So you need to find the max start and the min end. So current start, current end. All right, current start will be the max of both starts. Current end will be the min of both ends. And why are you doing this? You're doing this because you want to find the shortest place they overlap. So let's do min of n. Oh yeah, whoops. Starts. Start B. No, I did this wrong. Max is up here. Sorry about that. Min is down here. And this would be end A and B. So if we are looking at this, start A is 0, start B is 1. We would return 1. And A is 2. And B is 5. What is the minimum of these? 2. So we return that. So now we can see current start, current end, and all of the rest. So now we need to compare, like we did the last time, our current start versus our current end. So this is, again, where we're like, okay, if this is greater than this. So if current start is less than or equal to current end, do something else. And then this one is when current start is greater than current end. Do something. Righty, make sure, cool. All right, so we're now gonna go through our list and we're gonna figure out what to do as we go through it. So right now we have current start of 1 and current end of 2. So let's see what happens here. Start, end. So because 1 is less than or equal to 2, we are going to stay with the first pattern. And now you may be thinking, what do? I don't actually know. Does this mean, like, what do I do next? So if my current start is less than my current end, that means that you have an interval there. So yay, interval. That means you get to add something into your overlaps. So let's go interval equals current start, current end, awesome. And then you get to add it, overlaps, dot push, interval. And now your overlaps look something like, so that's awesome, cool. That was fantastic. Okay, but this, you can't stop here. Actually, sorry, hold on, I misread my notes. Else if, okay. Pushing here versus appending. Oh, that's just, I'm writing right now in so I usually, sorry, thank you, Ken. Emily asked, why am I pushing versus appending? That's just because I use JavaScript and Python quite frequently. Once in a while, I will use the name for the wrong one. So thank you for calling me out on that, Emily. So the trick with this one is that you need to figure out if you are where you're supposed to be. Hold on, let me look at my notes again. I'm maybe confusing you. Let me see if I need to do that. Okay. So basically what happens here, if you ever have this other section, you don't do anything. Now I'll go into that why after. Don't do anything. But before you exit the loop, you have to move your pointer. And how do you figure out if you move your pointer? Just one. So you either need to move pointer for A or pointer for B. Plus equal 1 plus equal 1. All right, how do I figure out which pointer needs to be moved? You need to figure out which number is less. So if end A is less than end B, that means I need to move over index A. But if end B, no, hold on. And A is less than end B, I then need to move over index B. So let's look at that right now. Right now, end A is 2 and B is 5. That means that I'm going to move over index A. And that means index A is now at 1. Sure, I have it. Okay. So now we're going to go to the beginning of the while loop again, and we're going to go through the next section. So now we started at, and both were at the same index, but they're not anymore. Now A is ahead. And so let's look at what the second one is for A, 5 and 10. And we're at the same place for B, so we're just going to use that again. Alrighty, let's look at the current start. So we want to look at start A and start B. So 5 and 10. Oh wait, whoops, sorry. 5 and 1. So which of these is bigger? 5. So 5 wins for current start. Current end, we're now going to look at 10 and 5. And which of this is smaller? 5. So current start and current end. Let's look at this one now. So current start is 5, current end, okay. Okay. So, oh, that's interesting. So as we can see, what do we do here? Current start is less than or equal to current end. So what are we going to do? We're going to create the interval and we're going to add it. Awesome. And then we need to figure out where's my pointer going. So what is end A? End A is 10, end B is 5. Based on this, end A is greater than end B. So we are going to move over B. Is everyone seeing that so far? I'm going to go through the rest of it, but I want to make sure that the movement makes sense so far. Does the movement make sense? Okay, I'm going to take, yes, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for writing in the chat. The comment on line 41, let me see, 41. Yes, this is the end A. Oh yes, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. That's a typo. Awesome, thank you so much, Elaine. So yes, we have fixed 41, typo. No, I still wrote it wrong, didn't I? NB equals, hold up, NB, that one's NB is greater. and A is smaller. So this one would be, and A is greater than or equal to NB. Wait, hold on 1 second. Let me just look at this. So Elaine saying, should the comment on line 41, else statement be NB greater than or equal to end A? I think it should be end A is greater than or equal to end B. Else block. 39. Oh, okay. So Antita said, I think you should be executing 39 through 42 always and not have it in an else block. It is not in the else block. Do you see this right here? This is the else block, 35 to 36. And this right here, 38 to 42 is outside the block. So it is outside the block. You are correct. It should be executing always. We're going to eventually remove what's on line 35 and 36. I'm just leaving it there right now so that as we go through it, you can visually see that don't do anything when you reach this statement. All right, so let's go to the top again. Cool. All right, so this is going to be the same, but we get to move over on our list B now. So that's awesome. Cool, we moved over in B. And now let's find our currents and our starts and ends. So start of that one, and we want max, so it's going to be 8, awesome. And then this one is going to be end, 10 and 12. We want minimum, so it's going to be 10. Cool, now we are going to compare 8, 10. So does this pass? Is our current start less than or equal to our current end? It is. Wow, we have a really fun one that we're just looping through a lot. So we're going to add this to our interval. I think we've got a pretty good list going there so far. And now we are going to look at our pointers. So end A is 10, end B is 12. Is end A less than end B? Yes. So we are now going to move that over, and it's now going to be on the second index. And then we go to the top and we loop again. So let's go do that. Cool. And this one will be the same. Alrighty, let's find our starts again. So 13 and 8. 13 is bigger. Find our ends. Oh, whoops, forgot to do that here. That's gonna be confusing. 8. Sorry, making the comments a little more legible. Let's see, okay. And then we're do ends here. Ends are 23 and 12. And we want the smaller of the two. Cool. So now we are comparing current start and current end. Okay, so we finally got to this section. 13 is greater than our current end, which means there's no interval, okay? There is no interval, so we're not gonna append anything. So we go to the else statement and we don't do anything. Again, in the end, I'm gonna take out this else statement because if there's no interval, why would you do anything besides move your pointer? So again, we see that 13 is greater than our current end. So we are saying no interval here. Let's move the index over and let's figure out which index to move. So let's see, end B and end A. Oh, actually I put them in the wrong order, one moment. So which one is bigger, end A or end B? Huh, end A is bigger, so we're going to move index B over 1. Alrighty, we are getting through this one. So let's see now. So B, we're now on these points. For A, we're on the same points from before. And now let's compare. So A start, B start, and you always want the max. So we're gonna be at 15 here. Let's find the current end. It is at, let's see, 23, 24. And we want the minimum for the end. So we are going to do 23 here. All right, now we're gonna compare current start versus current end. Oh, how awesome. Our current start is less than or equal to our current end. That means we have another interval. And then once we add that interval, we now need to figure out where am I moving my pointer. So end A is 23, and B is 24. 24 is bigger, so we are going to move A over. Okay. All right, back to the top. Now again, remember here, we are looking at this section here. Our pointer 1 must always be less than the length of A, and we're getting close to that length. And pointer 2 always has to be less than the length of B. We're not yet close to that, but just be aware of that as we're going through the loop. Alrighty. It's going to do 24, 15. And then we want the biggest one here. So we're going to do 24. We want the smallest one here. So we're going to do 25, 24. Awesome. All right, now we're going to have current end and current beginning. Oh, sorry, current start and current end. And hey, look at that. They're the same thing. Huh. Based off this logic, we are going to append. All right, we're really close to being at the length of A, so we need to be careful now. All right, end A or end B? Let's see which one is bigger. So end A is 25, end B is 24. That means that we're going to use the else statement, and look at, we moved it along. So now we are close to the end of our while loop for either A or B. Let's go back to the top. Alrighty, let's do the current start dance again. Always want the bigger one. That's going to be 25 here. And then here we're going to have 25 and 26. We always want the smaller one, so it's going to be 25. Like our last loop, hey, look at, they're the same thing. Cool, current start, current end. So what does that mean? We're gonna append again. Ready? And now we are going to go and check our ends. So end A is 25, and B is 26. Where did this one go? End A is smaller than end B, so we're gonna move it over. And now when we get to the top of our while loop, we will realize that the index of A equals the length of list A, so that we are breaking our loop, because we need both the index of A and the index of B to be less than the length of those lists. So we are breaking out of the loop. At this point, we should have our overlap. So let's see. Return overlap. So let's see how that goes. And then let me make this a little bigger so you can see the solution. All right. Oh, apparently I have to sign in again. Okay. Expected an indented block. Oh, because I left the else statement. So something I forgot. At the end, you see that you kind of really don't need the else statement. You just need to be able to account for that if. So you can completely remove it. But just so you know that here, I'm going to write a note on that. You don't need this else statement in the end, so you can remove it. All right, let's run that. List A is not defined. Oh, it's because it's called just A. It's called just B. All righty, let's try it again. Awesome, so you see that one is accepted. So let's make sure it's accepted for all the things, and then we'll go into questions. So awesome, that one works. Just so you know, generally when you have lots of comments, it's faster. It would have probably been much faster had I removed all the comments. So questions on this. This one was a bit more complicated, so let's talk about it. No questions? Anyone? Does everything written make sense? Oh, still processing. All right, I'll give it a moment.
I have a question, Krys.
Yeah.
When we're doing the comparisons of the current start and the current end, and they're both the same number, why is it that works? If that makes
because
sense.
they are still an intersection. So if you look here at this is what I messed up on when I was first showing you guys. You see this one 24 and this one 25. They're still they still count for the purpose of the interval list. Let me go back to the description so you can see it.
Okay.
And so because if they are equal, we know that, oh, okay, that counts as an interval. That is why it is equal on the line 32. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's why I highly recommend like drawing it out, because that oftentimes is really, really helpful to figuring out where your equals goes in the problem. Because sometimes it'll be less than or equal to, sometimes it'll be greater than or equal to. But by really drawing it out, it helps to figure out where the equal sign is going to go.
So if it wasn't a closed interval like it had specified in the beginning, then maybe we wouldn't do that?
Perhaps. Let me look at the closed interval thing real quick. 1 second. Let me see, closed interval. 3, 2, 4, 2, 3. It's not a closed interval. Yes, it might be different if it was not closed. Okay, let's see. All right, Michelle. Michelle said, "Is it like saying the numbers are inclusive?" Can you put to which point? I may have missed when you were typing it, and so I'm not sure which it was referring to.
Oh, I think that was referring to also Gloria Lee's question about why like 25 and 25 were considered a interval.
Yes, because they're in both. What do you call it? All of these are kind of inclusive, right? Because they're like, they have to be in both, right? So that's what I would used for the word inclusive, they overlap. That's why they have to be included. Does that make sense, Michelle?
Oh, yes, that makes sense. Okay.
Krys, I have a small question about updating the start and end points of in lines 22 and 23. So that's happening every time, and I guess if we're only updating one of the indices of A or B in each loop, then we're just doing it again for both of them, even though we only have to do it for the one that gets updated.
Correct. I just wrote it out so that you could see at every point in the process what it looks like. But if, yeah, so like if index A is going to be like 1 or 0 for like 3 times in a row, it would just be the same values. You would only be changing the B values.
Well, thank you.
I'm going to put this into the Slack channel so you have access to this with all the notes while I give you more time to process. And so if you have additional questions, I'm still here for that. I also included in the chat earlier these compilations of how I worked them out when I was first going through the problems. And so you have access to those directly right now in chat if you wanted to see for either problem how I did it and how I like you could see here. It was very important for me to go round by round through everything so that I could get an understanding of what the pattern was. The ones that I have linked in the chat are not as verbose and have as many comments as the ones in SF Algos. So if you really appreciated the comments, you might want to make sure that you are in the SF Algos channel so you can see that. Again, you'll always see the pattern. You need the length. You'll need a new array. You'll always have pointers, and sometimes you need to use the index. When you have more than one, you need to use the index. When you have just one big array, you need to sort things. A for loop can work, but if you have more than one array, you're going to want to use a while loop. And if it's not making sense, for example, why I have max here and min there, go back to the merge intervals documents and really look at that and ask, why am I using max here? Why am I using min here? And hopefully with the diagram, it will make more sense. Lisa just said something nice in the chat, so thank you, Lisa, I appreciate that. I will tell you, it does take a while of trial and error until you get the hang of where to put the greater than or equal sign. Also this, understanding that, oh, I need a place to append, but then I still need to move the index. That's also like learning because we didn't have that in the last one. So give yourself time to practice these and get familiar with them. These can become really easy, but they don't start that way. Emily wrote, do you have any resources for people who are super new to algorithms? I generally like Interview Cake. I'll put that in the chat. This is just really good because there's a glossary here. So like sometimes you're like, I don't even know the names of everything, right? I don't know the names. Look, here's a list of things you can now name. Oh, okay, so I have to kind of learn this. Someone mentioned Bitwise. Do you see all the Bitwise down here? Oh, I don't ever want to work for a company that's going to test me on that, because it's something that I can read and I can implement myself when the time comes, but I don't want to have to memorize all the Bitwise stuff. But depending on what kind of industry you're in, maybe that is important to them. Facebook, Google, those kinds, just ask them because they're part of the repertoire of questions. These are some useful things. Graphs, what are trees, what are stacks? And he does a really good job of explaining a lot of these. And then the full course is not bad. Oh, you know what? I'm actually giving away, I think, his course for this. So I have this website, Dev Inclusion Giveaways, because like I want to change the numbers. I want more women. I want more people you don't usually see in there. So for this giveaway, please sign up by the 25th. I am giving away a 6-month subscription to Interview Cake. Interview Cake is great. Let's see how much it costs. So yeah, 2-week access. I don't think it's going to be enough time. I highly recommend, if you really want to learn this stuff, to get like the 6 months or the 1-year access. And honestly, come to the whiteboarding sessions for Women Who Code. I highly recommend doing that because they're going to force you to think about it and practice. Suggested projects. Just having any projects will help your resume. Sorry, Denise asked, do you have any suggested projects to make resume stand out? You need to have projects. That's the basic gist. If you are going for a front end role, your projects have to look really, really nice, and they can't be HTML and CSS. They need to be in React. So that's for if you're front end. If you're back end, it doesn't matter what the final website looks like, but you have to be better about logic. And so it doesn't, for your first, Denise, are you bootcamp or just learning? Just so I can phrase it better. CS grad. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. They're not going to expect as much from your portfolio. Rather, what you will do when you're talking to people about working for them, what are some of the things you built in undergrad? And so if you're able to put those GitHub repos up for others to view, just like your school projects, that would probably be really helpful. Let's see. Lisa asked, do you ever feel self-conscious about having your less perfect solutions, comments, etc., publicly on GitHub? In the beginning, I did, but now I don't, because it shows my journey. I am self-taught. I did not do a boot camp. I kind of just like fell into it and then realized I love coding, and now I'm a senior engineer. And yeah, some of that stuff from the beginning is really crappy, but it shows my growth. I also am very honest about, you know what, I have holes because I don't have a CS degree, but I'm really good at finding out what I don't know once I realize that's a thing. And so to me, my less than perfect solutions and comments on GitHub are part of who I am. And when I sell myself to companies, I'm like, this is what you're getting. And I want to be honest and open about it. And I want to work for companies that are okay with me being honest and open about it. So Lisa, that's generally the approach I take. I don't want to work at a company where they're going to be like, oh, your GitHub. Yeah, I don't want to be there. So me having those kind of solutions and comments online, that helps me get to places that are a better fit for me. Other questions? Heidi just wrote, there are 0 women senior software engineers in my office. So it was amazing to learn from you tonight. It's also lovely to learn from someone I feel like I can relate to. Heidi, it's unfortunate, but the more women that join, 5 years from now, there are going to be more senior software engineer women on these roles. It takes a little bit of time, but we're fixing the numbers. We're getting there. And I'm really excited to say on the team I'm currently on, we have four senior software engineers and 1 staff engineer that are women, and we're a pretty small engineering team. And so it's lovely to see that the numbers are, they're taking a while, but they are trending in the right direction.
Okay, well, I'll just take this opportunity to wrap up the recording. Thank you so much, Krys. I'm gonna do a round of applause for you. Yeah, and for those tuning in on YouTube, thanks for watching. Please feel free to join us on our whiteboarding sessions. You'll find us on Meetup, the Women Who Code San Francisco chapter. And happy coding. Take care, everyone.